all the details you need for stitching a shirt. I use this lightweight interfacing and it has a bumpy side. I always use this when I'm stitching shirts. The bumpy side goes down on the shirt. We're working on the inside and you want to make sure it is lightweight and for cotton and polyester knits. We're going to take a rag or a washcloth and spray both sides of it. Lay it down on top, and then you're going to hold your iron down for about 10 to 15 seconds in each area. And if it's not sticking yet, we're going to do that a little bit longer. And this will lightly adhere to the fabric. It's okay if the edges aren't down. Don't pull it too hard, but you want to make sure that it's stuck in the middle. Then we peel and stick our design to the shirt. I like to space it about a hand width down from the neck, making sure it's centered, and then you can smooth it out to make sure it's nice and stuck. Then we're going to take an embroidery hoop and stick the bottom underneath and loosen the top just enough that it will pop right down on top. Now you can tug the fabric a little bit around the sides, but you don't want to do this too much. You want it to be slightly snug, but it will be looser than regular fabric would be. If you pull it too tight, then your stitches will be loose when you take them out of the hoop. I'm using a size 5 embroidery needle and this lovely colorous DMC thread, and it's variegated. It's so pretty. Grab some embroidery floss and make sure you pull it out of the barcode number end. Cut it about 18 to 24 inches and then tap the end to see where it just naturally starts to split. I split my threads 3 and 3 and I just pull them apart like this, gently letting it unfurl. And I use 3 strands at a time to stitch with. It just makes for neater stitches and it's just more manageable for pulling through the fabric as well. To thread the needle, you're going to wet the ends of your thread, and honestly, most people just wet it in their mouth, pull it through the needle, and this little tail is going to hang loose while we knot the other end. I create a knot by wrapping the thread around my finger while pinching the end with my thumb, and then you gently roll those to the end of your finger. Take your middle finger and press down on the wrapped part and pull, and it creates a little knot. For most stitches, you need the knot at the end when you start, and this tail will get shorter as we work. To keep your thread from falling out of the needle, I usually pinch the eye of the needle between my thumb and my middle finger, and then I use my index finger as a guide at the tip of the needle. And this is what it looks like. You can guide your finger along to find the spot that you want to stitch. And then when you find the right spot, you just slightly poke the needle up through the fabric to make sure you're in the right spot. At the end of a thread, when you only have a few inches left of thread, you're going to run your needle under one of the close by stitches and create a little loop like this. Take your needle through the loop 2 times, the same direction each time, and then pull it tight and snip it off, and there you've got a little knot so that your work doesn't fall out. Now you're ready to stitch. For the lazy daisy stitch, you come up at the bottom of this V, insert your needle back down right next to where you came up and leave a loop like this, and then bring your needle back up at the end of this petal, pull it nice and snug, and then you're going to insert your needle on the outside of this loop this time. Pull it down through, and that will pull your petal snug. And then we're going to do another, come up at the bottom, back down next to it, leave a loop, come up in the center, pull it snug, and then secure it by sending your needle down on the outside of the loop. This is a pretty simple stitch, but it makes such a cute little daisy flower, and we'll continue to fill the entire shape this way, and it just looks so cool to see how the colors come out and the flowers change. Now for the dots, we're going to do a lazy daisy. So you pull the thread up through and then take your needle and wrap it around the back 2 times. And then I want you to just slide your needle around like this so you can see how it affects the tension. You're keeping the thread tight with your left hand. And by sliding this around, you can see where you have the control. You can press your finger down on the wrapped parts, insert the needle right down next to where you came up, keeping it tight the whole time with your opposite hand. Insert the needle, keeping it tight still with the opposite hand. You're going to pull that down through and gently release the thread. And there's your little knot. Those can feel a little tricky when you're starting out, but just keep practicing, or you can do a little single stitch instead for the dots. When you're done stitching, I recommend taking some rubbing alcohol, douse your project with it, and this will cut any of the ink from the stick and stitch design so it doesn't bleed onto your threads. Then rinse it with cold water, and you want to let it sit for a couple minutes, and you'll start to see the paper dissolve just like this. Then you can wash it in the washing machine, and I definitely recommend air drying just to extend the life of the threads. And look how cute that is.